ChatGPT is currently the fastest growing platform on the internet.
ChatGPT.
It's as revolutionary as the internet.
I think the danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warheads by a lot.
It's gained over 1 million users in under a week, outperforming Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Spotify. You can get it to complete countless tasks from writing essays, books, and even legal documents. You can ask it whatever you want, like how do I get my Bitcoin back, or how do I buy a Lambo. I actually asked it to write me an 800-word script for this exact video, how to start investing using ChatGPT, and it comes up with some pretty helpful advice, but it's pretty much targeted at beginners. It'll talk about the difference between a mutual fund and a stock, setting goals and expectations around your investing, and making sure that you pick the right brokerage platform when you're buying your stocks. You can even ask it to make the script funny, add some humor to it, and even turn it into a YouTube short. What if I told you that everything up until this point in the video was actually scripted by ChatGPT? Nah, just kidding, it's not that good. Not yet. Who knows what ChatGPT will have in store for us? It does have the ability to be a human race changing piece of technology. It might sound like science fiction now, having AI that's incorporated into all of our lives, but throughout history, things that used to seem impossible have become true, like landing on the moon, the invention of the internet, the ability to have a cell phone where you have a computer that's in your pocket instead of one that takes up an entire room. If you look at the progress between the first iPhone that was released back in 2007 and the iPhone 14 that we have now, technology grows at a much faster rate. If you look at the pool of data that ChatGPT version 3 has in comparison to version 4, you can see how exponential the growth already is. I wonder what the 10th and 15th or 30th version of the AI will be like, and how big the jumps in terms of what it can do will be. The same way that cryptocurrency has the ability to completely change the whole financial system of the world, I think AI has the ability to completely change the world as we know it as well. Let me know down below in the comments, what do you think of AI, and have you actually used ChatGPT for yourself? AI can already be used for things like creating artwork. If you say I want an astronaut on a horse flying through space, it'll spit out a picture for you. You might say I want it to have a red background and for it to be in a desert, and it'll spit out another photo. And you might say that you want it standing on a hill with a meteor in the background, and there you go, there's another photo for you. And there's multiple platforms that offer this service, and the same company, OpenAI, that made ChatGPT has its own program for creating artwork as well. So who knows where it'll take us in the future. If it can create artwork, it may well be able to create videos, and that could be something quite exciting and scary at the same time. There has also been some backlash against the program, specifically with coding, saying that it's harmful and dangerous to try and use the program to create code because it doesn't yet have the necessary data to complete the task. And also on the homepage, it says that it might create biased or harmful instructions, and that the data provided on it is only limited to information from 2021, as it's not currently connected to the internet. But these, of course, are all things that you would expect with something that is still growing and developing, and I think in the next 5, 10, 15 years a lot of these problems will be ironed out, and it'll be an extremely smooth program, much better than what it is now. But as it stands now, how helpful is ChatGPT at helping you make money, picking out winning investments, knowing the best time to buy and sell, and the best strategies for securing consistent returns in the stock market? We'll be taking a look at some of the advice that the AI produces and seeing how relevant the information is now in 2023. What exactly is ChatGPT? Essentially, it's a form of AI that's publicly available to people, and you can enter a question through the chat feature. The AI will take that information and process it, and then spit back a logical answer that can be interpreted by the user. And AI is essentially the simulation of human intelligence, and you can use computers and technology to complete tasks that would be normally done by a person. From the first search, if you ask the AI how to start investing, it'll give you the general beginner advice like diversifying your portfolio, having a risk tolerance, and also picking out a safe brokerage platform. You can ask for a more advanced version of starting to invest and it'll talk about other strategies like dollar cost averaging, the difference between growth and value investing, and even talking about leveraging, so taking out loans to invest into the stock market. So it'll always have a disclaimer saying something along the lines of, it is important to note that these strategies are not suitable for every investor, and it's important to understand the risks and potential rewards of each investing strategy before implementing them. So of course it'll always ask you to consult with a financial advisor or professional before making decisions, because there's going to be a legal component to it. ChatGPT can't be seen as giving people absolute investing advice, because as it says, it's not a licensed financial advisor, and neither am I, so you always have to make sure to do your own research and reach your own conclusions before putting your money into something. So that's all well and good for some general advice, but what if you want some specific stock picks to invest in, or some ideas about what companies you should be buying? So it's worth noting that since January the 14th, 2023, since I asked the AI if it had any ideas for some good stocks, it has just given me a big disclaimer saying that it's not allowed to provide any financial information, and some of the limitations that it has because it only has data up to 2021. But here's the thing, when I asked just one day earlier on January the 13th the exact same question, it actually gave me a top 10 list of what it thought were some good investments to make, and of course at the top the disclaimer about it not being a financial advisor and you having to do your own research. So over time it might change the criteria or the way that you have to ask a question for it to give you a specific answer. I'm assuming with anything related to finance, it's going to always want to give you quite a cautious answer, because it doesn't want to be seen as giving you direct financial advice, which is definitely fair enough. I'm sure the creators don't want to have any legal problems from people getting angry at them about the companies that it might have suggested. So let's take a look at some of the top 10 recommendations that it has. As you can see, there's some very solid companies on this list like Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Visa. So we'll take a look at their performance from 2021 to now and see if you would have actually made some money from them. So jumping on to the first one, which is Apple, and if you had bought this at around the 8th of January of 2021 and you held it all the way up until now, then you would only be up about 2%. So Apple hasn't really made too much money in that time frame, and if you had bought a little bit later, say in the middle of the year, then you would still be down roughly 3.7%. So Apple hasn't done too well in that time frame. One of the biggest things that I learned from using this AI is the benefit of dropping a like and subscribing to the channel. So let's take a look at another stock on the list, which is Amazon. Now this one definitely didn't have the best time during 2022 and 2023. So if you had bought on January the 8th of 2021 and held all the way until now, you would be down 38%. Regardless of where you bought in 2021, Amazon would have lost you money. Now let's take a look at another one, Johnson & Johnson, which is a little bit closer to the bottom of the list. So here's Johnson & Johnson, and if you had bought back on the 8th of January 2021, you would actually be up 8.3%, and regardless of where you bought during 2021, you would actually be breaking even or have at least made money. For the majority of the companies on the list, they would have either made you break even or have a very small profit. Now I don't think this means that ChatGPT can't pick out good investments. It's more so because the data is limited to 2021. From 2020 to 2021, the whole stock market, or the S&P 500, went up 45%. It was a massive bull run and companies were seeing insane growth. Apple had gone up 138% in that time, and many other stocks saw huge gains in their share price. Of course, with the limited information that the AI has, it can't predict interest rates or inflation as well. And after a bull run where there's huge gains in the value of many companies and the whole stock market is making a lot of money, there's going to be a crash or a correction, and we're going to have a bear market, which is what we are seeing at the moment. I don't think the companies it selected are bad. Many of them are some of the biggest and most stable in the world, but it's just a reflection of the current market conditions that we have. In fact, over 5 years, Apple's share price has gone up 200%, and over 130% of that was from 2020 to 2021. 2021. So the vast majority of its gains were made in 1 year alone. So when AI is factoring in the top 10 list, part of its recommendation might be how well the company has previously performed. Of course, it'll be looking at other things like financial health, the growth and revenue of the business, its market cap, and a lot of other factors. But again, it can't predict the future. And if you only have info from 2021, there's a fair amount of limitation on how well you can pick out your investments. And during a bear market, regardless of the quality of a company, the vast majority of the time, if the whole stock market's going down, that business will also be losing value too. Of course, during a bear market, individual stocks tend not to perform that well. So following in the wise steps of Warren Buffett, we'll take a look at some ETFs which typically perform better during a bear market. So if we ask ChatGPT for some ETF recommendations, here are some of the top 10s that it gives us. So we've got the SPDR S&P 500 ETF, VTI, or the Vanguard Information Technology ETF, and then also the Vanguard Real Estate ETF are just some of those listed by the AI. If we take a look at the SPDR S&P 500 ETF, you can see that if you bought at the beginning of 2021, you would only be up about 4%. It's a similar trend with VTI, where if you bought at the beginning of 2021, you would only be up or breaking even by 0.4%. And if you bought the iShares Corporate Bond ETF in the beginning of 2021, you would be down 18%. Bonds got obliterated during this bear run, and again, I don't think that the poor performance of these ETFs is a reflection of the quality of them, because as I said, if you're in a bear market and the whole stock market is losing value, all the companies that make up the ETFs won't be very profitable and they'll be losing value too, and therefore the ETF will also not have the best performance. ETFs that track the S&P 500 are arguably the best and most consistent ways to make money in the stock market. You can't go wrong with something that tracks the 500 biggest publicly traded American companies. Things like Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft all clump together into one investment. I think once we're out of this bear market and we start to see some green and some profitability with the stocks or the ETFs and individual companies that the AI has selected, will start to look a bit more appealing. So should you rely purely on ChatGPT for your investing advice? I would say at this point in time, definitely not. You could use it for some general info and learn the basics of the stock market and get some recommendations on some good ETFs or individual stocks. But again, you always have to do your own research. And if the whole stock market is losing value and we're in a bear run, then we're not going to be seeing much profitability anyway. In the future, it might be able to give you the best day trading and investing strategies so that you can fly to work in a helicopter and drive that Lambo, but at this point in time, it's definitely still in its infancy stages. But who knows where it'll be in the next even just 1 to 2 years and how much better it could really be. If you want to see some of the best dividend yielding stocks that are recommended by a human as opposed to an AI, check out this video on screen. Even a complete beginner can start making consistent and reliable money in the stock market in a safe way by checking out some of these investments.